Today we're gonna talk about chapter 9. So I'm gonna share my screen. We talk about chapter 9, the cost of capital. Okay, if you you cannot hear, so you may raise your hands or let me know. Is that good, everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. So I wanted to make sure so everybody can hear it.
Oh, there it goes.
Okay, good. So the first, to click on the chat box and type your name. Okay, every time when you come in, don't forget to type your name for attendance. And so this chapter, we talk about chapter 9, about the cost of capital. So the cost of capital, with learning objectives, first, describe the source of capital and how firms raise capital. And second, we estimate the cost of capital for each financing source. Three, we estimate the weighted average cost of capital. And fourth, we use the marginal cost of capital schedule to make a capital budgeting decision. And last, we explain the importance of marginal cost of capital schedule in financial decision making. Okay, so the first, describe the source of capital. Remember at the very beginning, so we talk about the capital. So capital, do you still remember the capital? We talk about the capital market, including okay, capital market. We talk about two, right? It's the debt market, the bond market, or the bond market, and also we talk about the equity market. Equity market is also called stock market. So when you raise capital, so how the company raise capital or the source of capital. So what that means, the source where you can get money from. Okay, so for the company, basically you have two different ways. One is using debt, another one is doing equity. So the equity, which is a stock. So either you issue bond to raise capital, or either using issue stocks to raise money. So basically that's two ways. So for the stock, we have two. Okay, for stock, we have two different type of stock. Is preferred stock, and also we have common stock. So that's two different types of equity. So you could issue preferred stock to raise capital, and also you could issue common stock to issue capital. So which one costs the most? What do you think? So which type of method costs the most? Bond, preferred stock, or common stock? Which one costs the highest? Anyone? You hear my? Can you hear my question? Is there anyone can answer this question? Or? which one do you think costs the highest?
Preferred stock.
Okay. Okay, so that's very good. So we wanted to know which one costs the highest. Okay, so this is a series we call the pecking order series. The pecking order series is so the cost is internal fund. So internal fund is the money you already have. So basically, if you wanted to raise capital or you need money, first use your return earnings or the money in your company is the internal fund first. Okay, because the cost for internal fund is the lowest, and then is a bond. Okay, so next is bond. The bond is, that means you have to borrow money. Bond is kind of like debt. So the bondholder, you borrow money from the bondholder. Okay, the cost the next level higher is bond, and then is preferred stock. Okay, preferred stock. Preferred stock cost higher than bond, and then the last is a common stock. Okay, so that's a common stock, the cost of the highest. Okay, we it's usually in the United States. This is a cost at least about 7% in the United States. For example, what it means 7%? If you want to raise capital, $100, okay, so you have to pay $7 for the underwriters, and that's your cost. Okay, end up only with $93 left. That's so the cost of the common stock is sometimes called is the last result. Okay, the last result. That means if you don't have any other way to raise capital, and then you should use common stock. So the common stock cost the highest. Okay. And this is 7% cost of, remember, we call flotation cost. That's basically that's I give you a general idea. So different type of capital you raised, the cost is different. So in this chapter, so what we wanted to know is what is the weighted average cost of capital? So it's your average cost of capital. So so this is the average cost of capital. That means because sometimes you raise, you use a bond, and also you use a preferred stock and a common stock. So use a bundle of different way to raise capital. So what is your cost? So you could hardly tell. So that in that case, so you wanted to do is that we're using the WACC, which is the weighted average cost of capital, and that give you a general idea what is your cost, or what is the percentage of the cost. Okay, and let's say we have a company. So it basically, you know, when you go back to say the firm, so you could have different type of asset. Okay, this is where we took out the balance sheet. So the balance sheet is going to be, let's say we have open Excel for you. Is we do, no, we're doing Excel. Okay, so the balance sheet, remember, so we have, this is the most important thing. Okay. balance sheet, you have your total asset. Right? Your total asset equal to your equal to your total liability. Total liabilities and plus plus what? So your total asset equal to total liability plus
Equity.
yeah, owner's equity, total equity. Okay, so your total equity or owner's equity. Okay, this is the two parts, right? So total equity could be you could preferred equity, preferred stock, and also you could two parts could preferred stock and plus and the common stock, right? And the common stock and the common stock. Okay, so basically, let's say your total asset is 100, okay, and your total liability, let's say 40 is the total liability, and then your preferred stock is 10, the common stock will be 50. So that means your total asset has to be equal to your total liability plus total equity. Has to be 100%. So basically, you can see your total liability. If your total liability is going to be 40% of your, right, is 40%. And then your preferred stock will be 10%. And then your common stock will be 50%. So this three part, okay, has to be equal to, at least have to be always equal to 100%. Otherwise, it's not called balance sheet. It's not called balance sheet. So if you have all this, and basically you can, let's say, insert, we do like a pie graph. Okay. So the pie chart, this is give you a more intuitive vision about the weighted average cost of capital. So this is your total asset. Okay, this total asset is like a pie. Okay, it's like or you can see this is a pizza. Okay, a pizza. Okay, this part, you know, this part is 50% is your equity, right? Is your equity. So you could add this 50%, that's your equity. And that 40% is your bond or debt. Okay, the total liability, that's your debt. And then the 10% is your preferred stock. Okay. Remember that your total asset is always can be classified into 2 or 3 different groups. Okay, if you classify into 3 groups, that means you have a bond and a stock. Okay, so you combine the preferred stock and the common stock as only as a stock. Okay, and so this is 3 different components. Sometimes you do not have preferred stock. So if the preferred stock is 0, you don't have any preferred stock. That means you only have bond and equity, common equity. Okay, let's say we have the cost of debt. Remember, the weight of the weighted average cost of capital is you compute the cost of debt. So how you compute the cost of debt? Okay, this is a very important concept is that suppose the company issue bond with a before tax cost debt. Okay, before tax cost debt is the cost of your borrowing. Okay, the bond, which is your cost, which is 10%. And if the company's tax rate is 25%, the after-tax cost of debt, okay, is going to be that 10% times 1 minus 25% of the tax rate, okay, 7.5%. And so we could use this and before tax cost of debt, and then you will do, for example, this is the weight we have. And also we can do is that, let's say we have the, okay, this is the total liability. Okay, we have total liability, and this is the common equity. Okay, we insert another graph. Okay, so we, let's say we paste. Okay, so we wanted to make it bigger. Okay. So we have the weight, different type of equity, right? So you have a total liability, preferred stock, and a common stock. Let's say the weight we do, we give it this weight. Later on we can change. Okay. But now, for now, we just wanted to say the cost of debt, and because the total liability is also is called the cost of debt. Okay. The cost of debt, remember, so before, what is the rate? Before cost of debt, they tell me that is 12%, right? Okay. And then you have the, let's say the tax rate. Tax rate is 25%, for example, 25%. This is the cost of debt. Okay, we're using the same notation we have in the PowerPoint slide. But what we gonna use is not the before cost of debt. So we're using after cost of debt. So after cost of debt is equal to that 12% before times 1 minus tax rate is 25%. Okay, actually the after tax cost of debt is only 9%. Okay, 9%. So I have a question. So the question is, why we use the we use after tax? You know, you have a before tax cost of debt, 12%. It's pretty straightforward and very obvious. Now, why you have to use the after tax cost of debt instead of just using the before tax cost of debt? Anyone can answer that question? Anyone? Okay, what about Lasset Ortigar? Can you answer that question? No? Okay. the reason, remember, so the interest, okay, remember the interest paid by a company is tax deductible. Okay, this is the one, remember, so we talk about the corporate tax, about the interest. Okay, the interest paid by a company is a tax deductible. Do you still remember that? Okay, so basically, if you borrow money for a company, if you borrow money and you pay interest, it's gonna save your tax. Okay, it's gonna save your tax because you can deduct that interest expenses from your total taxable income. Okay, that's why. So you look like, you know, you pay interest 12%. Okay, it's a nominal interest rate. However, because you save your tax, right? So the interest you paid is a tax deductible. So that's why you need to exclude that tax, you know, tax from your total interest you paid. So basically, your that's your real cost of debt is after tax cost of debt. Okay, so I need to correct that. Before tax cost of debt, they using 10%. It's not 12%. Okay, it doesn't matter. So I just change that. It will correct automatically. Okay, so now we have another one is called the Job Act, which is the Donald Trump came into administration, and he has a tax cut. Okay, what is the tax cut? Is that before the 2008, you know, the tax rate is high, is very high, over 30% in the United States. And after the tax cut, you know, the cost reduced to 21%. Okay, you might wanted to know what is the tax cut and the Job Act of 2017. Next, we wanted to compute the cost of preferred stock. The cost of preferred stock is that the dividend of preferred stock divided by the market price. Okay, so the preferred stock, we could look this preferred stock as a perpetuity. So we have the dividends divided by stock price. For example, if issue a preferred stock for a net price of $42 and a preferred stock pay $5 dividend. Okay, it's going to be the dividend divided by the market price. So what is this? F. Okay, F is a flotation cost. Okay, F is a flotation cost. So we do not have like a flotation cost. Is F. Okay, F is a flotation cost. So using that preferred stock dividend divided by the price, okay, we can have the is a proper perpetuity. So it's like a perpetuity is a, that means the dividend will not change forever. So for preferred stock, the dividend is fixed and constant forever. So as long as you hold that preferred stock, the dividend will not change, and it will pay you that amount of dividend every year forever. So that means the cost of preferred stock, this function we can consider as a, so we can consider this one as a perpetuity. So using that dividend divided by the preferred stock price, okay? And so we can use the $5 divided by $42, okay? That is your preferred stock, the cost. Okay, so next we wanted to know the weighted cost of capital of the common stock. So the common stock, and you have two different type of issuing. One is a return earning, and another one is just issue new shares. Okay. So we calculate the cost of internal common equity. Okay, two methods we use is one, the dividend growth model. Okay, the first one. Another one is we typically use is capital asset price model. Okay, the two model is going to use to estimate the cost of common equity. Okay, the dividend growth model is the one we call, sometimes we call Gordon model. Constant dividend growth model. Another one is this is a CAPM. So capital asset pricing model, right? Capital asset pricing model. The cost of common equity, we're using this one. This is dividend growth model. We have the cost of common equity equal to the dividend, D1. Okay, D1 is the dividend at the end of the first year, plus the dividend growth rate. Okay, this is the formula we use. And the dividend at the end of the first year, the market price, for example, the market price of a share of a common stock is $60. The dividend just paid is $3, and expected dividend growth rate is 10%. Okay, so the dividend just paid is D0. Okay, so we have this one, and because this is you just paid, is not D1. Okay, we're gonna have first we calculate the D1 end of the first year. So D1 equal to D0 times 1 plus G%, because that's gonna increase G%. So basically the D1 you have, this D1 is going to be $3 times 1 plus 10%. The dividend growth rate. So basically the D1 is going to be $3.3. So now you have a $3.3 divided by 60 and plus the G%, right? See, this is a plus that G%. So you're using the dividend growth model, okay, dividend growth model, and you can estimate the cost of common equity, which is 15.5%. Okay, so we have this one is called a dividend growth model. Dividend growth model equal to $3 times 1 plus 10%, right? And divided by the stock price is $60, and plus the 10% of the dividend growth rate. Okay, so you click on enter, So that's give you 15.5%. And next one we can do is using the capital asset pricing model. The capital asset pricing model, and let's see, this is the model we have, the risk-free rate and beta. This is the cost of the market, and this is the risk-free rate. So if the estimate beta of stock is 1.2, the risk-free rate is 5%, and the expected return is 13%, okay? And so we can have the beta, okay, using 5% plus 12, 1.2, the beta times the market return, 13% minus 5%. Okay, the capital asset pricing model we can do is that using CAPM. Okay, it's going to be a risk-free rate 5% plus 1.2, which is the beta, times 13% minus 5% of the risk-free rate. Okay, that's a capital asset pricing model. So you can see this is the after-tax rate we're gonna use for the cost of debt. This is the cost of preferred stock. Okay, so you can use in this one into 8%. Okay, and this is this two is a common stock, right? So you can choose either one. Okay, let's see, we're gonna do the weighted average cost of capital. Now we need to assign a weight for the stock. Okay, so we already have the cost of different type of equity, right? So now we have the weight. So the weighted average cost of capital using the weight times the cost. Okay, so we have the weight. Let's say 40% of debt, 10% of preferred stock, and 50% of common equity. Okay, so you have let me see which one we're gonna use to consistent. We're using the 15%. Okay, so we 15% of the common equity. Yeah. Okay, so we have this one. We're using 15%. We take the average of this two, right? We can use it 15%. Okay. So we can do is that the weighted average cost of capital, okay, is equal to this one. This is 40% of weight times after tax cost of debt plus 10% of weight of preferred stock times the cost of preferred stock, and plus common stock 50% times, okay, maybe this 15.5 or either one, yeah. So you can get the weighted average cost of capital, 11.9%. Okay. If you use 14%, like a 14.4%, that's fine. Okay, you can use this one times this one or either that one. So you can get a different type of return. Okay, so I think that's all for today. Any questions? So we're gonna continue with the average cost of capital on Wednesday. Good, any questions? Okay, if you don't have any questions, make sure just type your name in the chat box. Okay, type your name and to make sure so you have your name typed for attendance. Now I'm gonna end the meeting. Okay, see you at the same time on Wednesday.